sorry, I'm dealing with 5 different people who are trying to vie for my attention right now.
All right, we're in the WKRG newsroom. I'm Chris Best, news director at WKRG, and Mary Smith's going to be joining us in a minute. But we are sifting through this list of priests that was released today from the Mobile Archdiocese of Mobile. It includes 28 priests and deacons who've been charged with or accused of what they call credible accusations. They've been credibly accused of sexual misconduct. One of the things that we noticed was that the same parishes and locations were popping up under several of these names, and this is not the complete list of churches and schools, but these are the names that kept popping up over and over again, and the names that kept popping up over and over again. It also doesn't mean that the abuse happened at these locations, but it does mean that these priests and deacons who are accused were at these locations at some time during their career, and that, as we'll show you here in just a second, many of them overlap in time and location. So that obviously raises some serious questions about what was going on in the Archdiocese and what's going on at these locations, and we will be asking the Archdiocese about this, obviously. And here a little bit later this morning when we interview them, Mary Smith is working on getting her information together to do an interview with the Archdiocese. So let's just take you through this. Some of the names that popped out, and again, this is just a preliminary list. We haven't gotten this whole. This isn't everybody, and it isn't every location, but these are the ones that we popped out that stood out to us as over and over again. These priests were assigned there: St. Vincent de Paul, Mobile; St. Mary, Mobile; Biolobattery; McGill-Tulin High School, which is obviously troubling, and it has the longest list here, and Little Flower. And what you'll notice is that Vernon Dauphin, if that's how you say his name, Little Flower, he's at McGill-Tulin. He's also over here at St. Mary. He's also over here at St. Vincent de Paul. And the same thing, over and over again, Arthur Schringer. Where else is he on the board?
Arthur Schringer, he is at McGill-Tulin, and he's also at Little Flower. So the startling thing to us is we're seeing that a lot of these people are jumping from school to school, so we're not sure, or church to church, if it was reported to those facilities and they were moved as a result of those reports. What we did in the past hour was we did a simple Google search of their names. We found some news articles about them in previous years, and a lot of those that we found articles about had been removed at the time from their church and banned from the Archdiocese office. Another thing that we looked at was criminal history. So some of these people, not necessarily the ones on the board, but some of the 28 on the list have been convicted of crimes. So we're going to be looking at that more later. But we're about to go interview someone from the Archdiocese office. So if you guys have any questions that you want me to ask, if you have any concerns, email me at msmith@wkrg.com, or you can find me on Facebook, or you can message our WKRG Facebook page, comment on this link. Any concerns that you might have, we're about to leave in a few minutes.
Or if you're a victim, or if you know a victim.
If you're a victim, if you know a victim, feel free to speak to us. We will, make sure that it's confidential. I understand that this is definitely an emotional situation. We're looking at 50 to 70 years of abuse, not only on this board, but that list that you can find at WKRG.com.
Yeah, this isn't even close to all 28 of them. These are just the ones that we've mapped out so far.
That we're seeing repeating. So one of the things that we're going to ask someone from the Archdiocese office is if there was some sort of collusion going on here, because a lot of those accused and convicted were at the same facilities at the same time.
Yeah, so let's check out McGill-Tulin.
Look at McGill-Tulin has the longest list here.
Dahmen, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. He's in the 70s and 80s. Patrick Nicholson, his abuse allegations were also in the 70s.
Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that overlap here. You've got 4 people accused at McGill-Tulin,
and this is just the dates of their accused abuse.
Yes,
they may have been at these areas together at the same time. We're not sure.
True, that is a good point. So we don't know if they were at McGill-Tulin at those times, but they're all active. Those accusations are in similar time spans here.
Check
so that's
this
something
out.
We're going to be taking a look
at. Nicholas Bendillo or Dio, however you pronounce that, 1964 to 1989. Again, those are the dates of accusations of his abuse.
25 years of alleged abuse
Arthur
there.
Schringer, the dates are 1960s to 1982. That's at least 22 years. You know?
So it's crazy to think that this could have been going on for so long, and here we are, it's 2018. Why are we just finding out about this now? So that's something we're going to be asking. We'll hopefully have some answers for you guys. Again, we're going to be live in our noon newscast, WKRG News 5 at noon. We'll have more, and we're going to be live on Facebook. So this interview that I'm about to do in about 25 minutes will be live here on Facebook. So if you have any questions, concerns, make sure to comment, message us. Again, send me an email. You can also email news@wkrg.com, msmith@wkrg.com if you have any concerns. So I'm going to go do that interview, and I will get back with you guys in a little bit.
All right, we'll map out this a little bit more while we're at it. So, again, we're going to look at Vernon Doffman. His alleged abuse from the 70s and 80s. He was at St. Vincent de Paul. He was also at St. Mary. He was also at McGill-Tulin. He was also at Little Flower. And again, a lot of these names side by side. Vernon Doffman, McGill-Tulin, Little Flower. Patrick Nicholson, whose alleged abuse was in 1976. McGill-Tulin, Little Flower. Arthur Schrenger, again, I may not be saying these names right. Alleged abuse from the 60s to 1982 at McGill-Tulin. At Little Flower. Nicholas Pendillo, also at McGill-Tulin. John Sherlock was also at another area. Let's find out where he is. John Sherlock at McGill-Tulin was also at St. Mary, which you'll notice that name, Vernon Doffman, also at McGill-Tulin. So there's two guys who were at McGill-Tulin and also at St. Mary. James Havens, St. Vincent de Paul. Let's find him on the board. He's on the board somewhere else too. That's why he's underlined. He was also at Little Flower. Again, a name that keeps coming up. So the question is, why are all of these locations the same names popping up? Now, obviously, in the past, the Catholic Church has been criticized rightly for moving pedophile priests around. Do we know if that's what was happening here yet? No, we don't, but I'll have an interview with the Archdiocese here in about 20 minutes, and we'll get some answers about that. So St. Vincent de Paul had four of these accused priests or deacons were there. There's 3 at St. Mary, 3 at Biola Battery. The longest in the list, again, McGill-Tulin. Vernon Doffman, Patrick Nicholson, Arthur Schringer, Edward Smith, Nicholas Pendillo, John Sherlock, Robert Grabowski. Again, that's all, these people are all in McGill-Tulin. Little Flower has the second highest number on the list that we've noticed so far. Again, these priests, all 4 of these priests or deacons have served elsewhere, and most of them in the same place. Arthur Schringer, Patrick Nicholson, and Vernon Doffman are all on Little Flower and under the McGill-Tulin list. So you have all of those priests operating, it looks like, pretty much in the same time period, in the same places. So did they know about each other's abuse? Did they help each other cover it up, the allegations? Those are all questions we're going to be asking today, and the questions that you have, I'm sure. So again, we're going through this list. Again, if any of you know anybody who wants to talk about their history at these churches or with these priests, message us and talk to us. Now there are cases past 1992. There's one right there, Timothy Evans, 1998 at Biola Battery. The latest is 2012. I'll find it here for you. Just going through the list. There is a priest or a deacon. Here it is. Robert Newen, I guess is how you say his name. He's a deacon. He's been prohibited from ministry in the Archdiocese because he was convicted of child pornography in 2012. He was also at St. Vincent DePaul, right there. So he's also on this list of area with several priests or deacons who've been accused. So in total, 28 priests and deacons who were either assigned to or worked in the Mobile Archdiocese, which, in case if you don't know, that's the 28 southern counties of Alabama, so it's much bigger than Mobile County. It's Baldwin County, it's all the counties in our viewing area: Mobile, Baldwin, Escambia, Conecuh, Monroe, Clark, Washington, all the way up to Montgomery at least. I don't have the exact map with me, but remember, this goes beyond Mobile. Christ the King in Daphne has at least one priest listed on this list, priest or deacon. Other parishes that are listed that you're not seeing on the board. There's St. Monica, St. Mary. This Thomas Cullen, who you see on under St. Mary, also worked in Texas, so he's moved around quite a bit. Vernon Dahman is on your list there. Worked not only at the places that we have listed on this board, but his assignments were St. Dominic Parish in Mobile, St. Mary Parish in Mobile, Catherine of St. Sienna Parish in Mobile, McGill-Tulin, Little Flower, as we talked about, St. Thomas the Apostle in Chickasaw, St. Vincent de Paul. He's on a lot of lists of these churches. Timothy Evans was the one in 1998 that we pointed out. He was at Christ the King in Daphne, which is Baldwin County, Annunciation Parish in Monroeville, St. Margaret Parish, Viola Battery Director, he was in the Office of Youth Ministry. So here's this guy, Timothy Evans, who was accused in 1998, and he is the director of the Office of Youth Ministry. So we have a guy who's a director of Office of Youth Ministry, and then we have all of these people at McGill-Tulin. So these are people who are definitely connected to and have access to children. So going through the rest of this list. Patrick Nicholson is up on the board at McGill-Tulin and Little Flower. And look at the list of places where he worked, though. He was at Little Flower. He was at the Mobile Assistant Director for Vocations at McGill-Tulin, which I'm guessing means he was the guidance counselor there. I'm just guessing if that's what it means, is what it sounds like. St. Pius Parish in Mobile, St. Joseph Parish in Prattville. He was in the U.S. Air Force in Little Rock, the Philippines. He was the Air Force in San Francisco, and Maxwell Air Force Base, and Montgomery Diocese of Elphin, Ireland, which is interesting. You know, the case that has made such headlines in Houston about the cardinal there was one of their priests was. No, that wasn't the case in Houston. I apologize. Vicki, none of these people are serving on the diocese, but they have either been prohibited from ministry, is quote unquote what they said, or they're dead. So everybody with a star next to their name is dead. That's another thing to point out. Vernon Dahman, whose name is across this board, is dead. James Haven, who's on a couple, is dead. Thomas Cullen, he's across the board too. He's also dead. John Sherlock is dead. John Walton is dead. Thomas Cullen is dead. There are 4 of the people who were involved in McGill-Tulin are alive. But Nicholas Bendillo, Edward Smith, Vernon Dahman is dead. We don't know if they're in jail. We're trying to pick up. Some of them are. We do know that, or have been in jail. But really, all it says is that they are the ones who aren't dead are prohibited from ministry in Mobile. Mobile Archdiocese has not said whether those who are still alive, when they were banned from ministry, whether they were punished in any other way, if they're working in ministry in another diocese, because it also doesn't say that. It just says they've been I'll give you the exact language here. Find one that's not dead. Patrick Nicholson, prohibited from ministry in archdiocese. Does it say prohibited from ministry in the entire Catholic Church? No, it doesn't. Does that mean that he's at another church right now, or another archdiocese, or another diocese, or somewhere, anywhere in the world, acting as a priest? We don't know. It's happened before. So this is all the pages, page after page. And these are people who, these are just the cases where the church said it was, quote, credible, they were credibly accused. So that doesn't mean that there aren't others who were accused who weren't, whose cases were found not credible. So that's 28. Most of them are priests. Some of them are deacons as well. So this is just the whole list of them. We're mapping out. You can find the entire list and read for yourself on WKRG.com. Click on the link in the description of this video, and you can see the entire list. But again, we're mapping out the connections between these folks and the connections between the locations they were, the times they served, the times of their alleged abuse. Again, look at this. This is McGill-Tulin. These are priests and deacons who all served. Doesn't say that they all served at McGill-Tulin at the same time, but their services definitely overlap. Vernon Dahman, 1970s and 80s. Patrick Nicholson, 1976. These are the dates of their accused credible accusations of sex abuse of kids. Patrick Nicholson, 76. Arthur Springer, 1960s to 82. That means his abuse went on for about 2 decades, or the allegations of abuse, I'm sorry, went on for 2 decades. Edward Smith, 1984. That would be on the late end of this. John Sherlock and Arthur Springer are both alive still, and the accusations against them both pretty much map out. Sherlock, 1966 to 82. Springer, 1960s to 82. It's the 60s to the early 80s, and they're both at McGill-Tulin. We'd really love to hear from you if you have, if you know these priests or deacons, and or if you went to school during that time period. So either message us or just comment on this Facebook Live. But again, it stands out to you when you see this. They're at the same place. Their accusations of abuse are at the same time, and it's a school. So that's pretty that's pretty incredible. Little Flower again is the parish where that has probably the longest list of priests, deacons who served there, and many of them came from. They also served at McGill-Tulin. The list of McGill-Tulin: Vernon Dahman, Patrick Nicholson, Arthur Springer, all over here too at Little Flower. James Haven is not on that list at McGill-Tulin, but you come over here and he's at St. Vincent de Paul. So we are mapping all this out. Again, Mary Smith will be live in a few minutes with the Archdiocese getting their explanation for all of this. You're live on Facebook in just a few minutes, and she'll be live at noon. And look for continuing coverage on WKRG News 5 all day. We're going to have team coverage. We have several reporters on this, and on WKRG.com, and of course social media.